Good morning and good morning and good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. I forgot what I was gonna say now because I was thinking it's wacky and weird Wednesday. And we're gonna cover those weird, odd stories that are happening in the news, plus I have some good news on my own stuff that I'm covering today. So let's go ahead and get into our news stories. Today on Before Coffee, workers in Valencia's 4-day week trial report less stress and more socializing.
And we talk about the drought and how it saps the Panama Canal and disrupts global trade.
Antique dealer in court for fraud in the sale of a mask for $4.2 million.
President Biden signs an executive order on artificial intelligence.
Sex, religion, and politics mix in Barcelona's controversial new museum of forbidden art.
The stories and more, which is the Day of the Dead, November 1st, 2023 on Before Coffee.
First news story of today, where we hopefully don't crash our streaming software over and over again. Workers in Valencia have finished their only 1-month trial of a 4-day week. This from Luke Hurst on Euronews Next. The trial only ran for a month, but the results show overwhelming benefits for employee health and well-being. Countries around the world have been experimenting with 4-day working weeks over recent years, as academics, governments, and companies gauge the benefits of potential downsides. Spain has been at the forefront of experimenting with 4-day weeks, with a major countrywide trial currently ongoing for participating companies. Results and analysis are in, however, for a smaller trial that was run alongside the larger one, with 360,000 workers living in Valencia taking part. Unlike the majority of other 4-day week trials around the world, this one was just a month long, but the results show a number of benefits that are increasingly being understood to flow from working shorter weeks. Valencia City Council ran the trial between April and May of this year, taking advantage of the fact that there were already 3 holiday days within those dates, meaning only one additional day was removed to make it a month of 4-day working weeks. So they did the trial without actually doing the trial. Okay. Following the short trial, those taking part reported a 35% reduction in stress levels, with 64% increasing the amount of sleep they got. There were more socializing too, with 72% saying they spent more time with friends, whilst 37% said they increased their physical activity, and 46% increased their time spent reading. Valencia also saw some environmental benefits during the trial month, with a 9.5% decrease of traffic in the city, and 58% less nitrogen concentration in the air. The council reported that the hospitality sector and companies in the leisure industry saw the benefit of people using the extra free time to go out and eat and drink, and more people making trips within the city. Tied into this was one downside highlighted in the report: a slight increase in the amount of tobacco and alcohol consumed. Our main aim with this project was to generate new evidence of the potential benefits for shorter working hours could have for urban environments, said Joan Ribot, from the Valencia mayor and speaker for the Compromise Electoral Coalition at the City Hall. The trial has been an enormous success and it provided significant empirical evidence of the positive impact of the 4-day week on workers' health and citywide dynamics. We have seen a sharp decrease in traffic intensity and air pollution, a broad improvement in overall health perception by workers, and more free time dedicated to cultural and leisurely activities. He added the trial findings are a new milestone for the 4-day week movement in Spain and beyond. 4-day week trials have shown promising results in other countries as well, which I think we talked about a few weeks back. The largest trial to date, which ran in the UK, included 33 companies and almost 1,000 employees. None of the participating companies planned on returning to a 5-day week once the trial resumed. They found productivity remained stable, while employee satisfaction saw a dramatic increase. Key in there though, only 1,000 employees through all those companies were tested, whereas this one tested 360,000 workers. So that's definitely a huge chunk of people that were, but I can't really agree with the fact, like, if it's actually true or not, because Sometimes you feel the best, like that first week you go on vacation or whatever, right? But then, the second month of going on vacation, or the third month, right? It might not feel that relieving as they're reporting. So we'll just have to hope for a bigger study.
Well,
or maybe just somebody will just a country will just full on do it. Just be like, no, 4 days, we're doing it now, hardcore, and then we'll know for sure after that. A year of a country doing that, I think.
Well, my own personal experience, remember when we lived in Oklahoma, I did work 4-day weeks. It was 4 10-hour days. Mm-hmm. Had Friday off every week. Remember the bomb factory?
Yeah.
Anyway, they're closed on Friday. But I got a lot more sleep. I'll tell you that. I liked 4-day weeks. I got more sleep. I slept in on Friday. Have any freaking less stress. 10 hours goes the same as 8 hours. I swear. There's no difference. You got to drag yourself to some awful place. You're gonna spend a couple more hours there. There's the only real difference. I didn't really notice it. I didn't notice the extra work. I didn't notice anything other than I got 3 days off every week. All right, is that it? Or
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, over talking your story. Okay. In global warming news, this is from the New York Times. Drought saps Peter Ebis. Drought saps the Panama Canal, disrupting global trade. For over a century, the Panama Canal has provided a convenient way for ships to move between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, helping speed up international trade. But a drought has left the canal without enough water, which is used to raise and lower ships, forcing officials to slash the number of vessels they allow through. That has created expensive headaches for shipping companies and raised difficult questions about water use in Panama. Passage of one ship is estimated to consume as much water as 500,000 Panamanians use in one day. This is the worst we have seen in terms of disruption, said Osteen Halavev, the chief executive of Advanced Gas, which transports propane from the United States to Asia. The problems at the Panama Canal, an engineering marvel that opened in 1914 and handles an estimated 5% of seaborne trade, is the latest example of how crucial parts of global supply chains can suddenly seize up. In 2021, one of the largest container ships ever built got stuck for days in the Suez Canal, choking off trade. And the huge demand for goods like surgical masks, home appliances, and garden equipment during the pandemic strained supply chains to the breaking point. In Panama, the lack of water has hampered canal operations in recent years, and some shipping experts say vessels may soon have to avoid the canal altogether if problems get worse. Fewer passengers could deprive Panama's government of tens of millions of dollars in annual revenue, push up the cost of shipping, and increase greenhouse gas emissions when ships travel longer routes. Although Panama is an equatorial climate that makes it one of the wettest countries, rainfall there has been 30% below average this year, causing water levels to plunge in the lakes that feed the canal and its mighty locks. The immediate causes is the El Nino climate phenomenon, which initially causes hotter and drier weather in Panama, but scientists believe the climate change may be prolonging dry spells and raising temperatures in the region. Before the water problems, as many as 38 ships a day moved through the canal, which was built by the United States and remained under its control until 2000. The Canal Authority in July cut the average to 32 vessels and later announced that the number would drop to 31 on November 1st. Further reductions could come if the water levels remain low. The Canal Authority is also limiting how far ships' hull can go below the water, known as its draft, which significantly reduces the weight it can carry. Container ships, which transport finished consumer goods, typically reserve passaging well in advance and have not faced long delays, but ships carrying bulk commodities generally don't book passage. This presets bulk shipping companies with expensive calculus. They can risk waiting days, pay a big fee to jump in line, and avoid the canal entirely by taking a longer route. Mr. Kalikev, the shipping executive, said the company decided in August to pay $400,000 in special auction to move a ship ahead in the queue, roughly doubling the total cost of using the canal. Other companies have paid over $2 million in a cost they will sometimes bear to ensure ships don't miss their next assignment. A portion of these extra costs will be passed on to the consumers already pummeled by inflation. Well, kind of helps cause inflation. I don't know if they're acting like this didn't help cause the inflation in the first place. They're kind of foolish. The pain, however, has been limited because the U.S. economy is not running very hot and demand for imported goods is relatively muted. That's because, again, the government, when they're trying to fight inflation, they raise interest rates and people stop buying stuff. If this was a year ago when we still had a record high freight rates and consumers still spending a lot on containerized goods from the Far East, then you would see more of a drama than you have now. Traffic through the canal is likely to remain lower levels in the coming months. Reducing passages helps conserve water because huge amounts are used up every time a ship goes through the locks. It travels 40 miles across Panama. The drought also presents tough choices for Panama's leaders who must balance the water needs of the canal, those of residents, over half of whom rely on some sources of water that feed the canal. The Canal's board recently proposed a new reservoir in the Indio River that bolster the water supply and increase the traffic through the canal, which generates over 6% of Panama's gross domestic product. Under the plan, the new water supply could allow for an additional 12 to 15 passages per day, not passengers. In optimal terms, the canal can handle 38 transits per day, so 12 to 15 is a lot, said Rodrigo Noriega, a lawyer and a columnist for Panama's La Prensa newspaper. Building the reservoir is expected to cost nearly $900 million, and the Canal Authority could start accepting bids from contractors toward the middle of next year, construction starting in 2025, but that timeline could well be delayed. The construction of larger locks was completed 2 years late in 2016, and that project was marred by cost disputes. So there you are, more news from our hot planet. They're really struggling to keep the Panama Canal open. Back to you.
This is from NOS. This is my odd news of today. An antique dealer in court for fraud for the sale of a mask. An art dealer has appeared in court in France for allegedly defrauding a couple when purchasing an African mask. The art dealer bought the mask, which dates from the 19th century, from the couple for 150 euros. But 6 months later, the dealer offered the mask for auction, where it was ultimately sold for 4.2 million euros. Boy, that's a big markup. The older couple who owned the mask had their holiday home in south of France vacated in 2021 and invited the local antique dealer to take over some items. He took over the mask without saying how valuable it was. According to the dealer, he had no idea how valuable the item was when he bought it. He should have, well, I guess you could argue that then it was the seller's fault because they didn't get it checked before selling it, but I guess they just wanted to get rid of it. It's a rare 19th century Nigel mask. In March 2022, the couple read the auction in the city of Montpellier and recognized the mask. It turned out to be the rare 19th century Nigel mask made by a famous people of Gabon. French media quote an expert who says the mask is rarer than a painting by Leonardo da Vinci. Auctioneers initially valued the mask at 300,000 euros, but an anonymous bidder eventually offered 4.2 million. Well, see, that's the problem, right? It was an auction. So he bought it for 150 and then it was valued at 300,000. I can understand that. Oh, what the hell? But the auction part, they don't deserve the money from the auction, right? Somebody loved the mask so much that they paid 4.2 million. That's not the seller's problem.
And we know. Yeah, well, we know what Jim Carrey's up to.
He's getting the mask. The couple claims they were defrauded and has filed a civil suit to have the sale annulled. Not much later, the Gabonese government also came forward and demanded the mask. I agree. Give it to the government who it belongs to. Who knows where that mask came from? It was stolen, probably. According to the Gabonese, the artifact was stolen from them and should therefore be returned to them. They want the couple's lawsuit to be halted until there's more clarity. A court ruling is expected at the end of this year and will become clear who the mask belongs to. Probably the dude who crafted it. because masks are crafted. So give it back to that guy. Just put on a skeleton, and well, that's my short but odd story about a mask and being sold for $150 and then $4.2 million. Your story.
You'll find out who has it if the guy can all of a sudden really dance well. And more weird news that's kind of normal nowadays. There's an executive order for the United States president on AI. President Biden. This is from the New York Times again. We've gone back to them twice today. Kevin Ruth. How do you regulate something that has a potential to both help and harm people, that touches every sector of the economy and that is changing so quickly even the experts can't keep up? That has been the main challenge for governments when it comes to artificial intelligence. Regulate AI too slowly and you might miss out on the chance to prevent potential hazards and dangerous misuses of the technology. React too quickly and you risk writing bad and harmful rules, stifling innovation, and ending up in a position like the European Union's. It's first released at its AI Act in 2021, just before a wave of new generative AI tools arrived, rendering much of the act obsolete. The proposal, which has not yet been made law, was subsequently rewritten to shoehorn in some of the new tech, but it's still awkward. On Monday, the White House announced its own attempt to govern its fast-moving world of AI with a sweeping executive order that imposes new rules on companies and directs a host of federal agencies to begin putting guardrails around the technology. Biden's administration, like other governments, has been under pressure to do something about the technology since last year when ChatGPT and other generative AI apps burst into public consciousness. AI companies have been sending executives to testify in front of Congress and briefing lawmakers on the technology's promise and pitfalls, while activists groups have urged the federal government to crack down on AI's dangerous uses, such as making new cyber weapons and creating misleading deepfakes. In addition, a cultural battle has broken out in Silicon Valley as some researchers and experts urge that the AI industry to slow down and others push for its full throttle acceleration. Jeez. Let's just go boldly into the future. Who cares what happens, right? President Biden's executive order tries to chart a middle path, allowing AI development to continue largely undisturbed while putting some modest rules in place and signaling that the federal government intends to keep a close eye on AI industry in the coming years, in contrast to social media technology that was allowed to grow unimpeded for more than a decade before regulators showed any interest in it. It shows that the Biden administration has no intent on letting AI fly under the radar. Full executive order, which is more than 100 pages, appears to have little something in it for almost everyone. And we're going to read it now. Just kidding. The most worried AI safety advocates, like those who signed an open letter this year claiming that AI poses a risk to extinction akin to pandemics and nuclear weapons, will be happy that the order imposes new requirements on the companies that build powerful AI systems. In particular, companies that make the largest AI systems will be required to notify government and share the results of their safety testing before releasing their models to the public. These reporting requirements will apply to models above a certain threshold of computing power, more than 100 septillion integer or floating point operations, if you're curious, that will most likely include next generation models developed by OpenAI, Google, and other large companies developing AI technology. Those requirements will be enforced through the Defense Production Act of 1950 law that gives the president broad authority to compel U.S. companies to support efforts deemed important for national security. This would give the rules teeth that the administration's earlier voluntary AI commitments lacked. In addition, the order will require cloud providers that rent computers to AI developers, a list that includes Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, to tell the government about their foreign customers, and it instructs the National Institute of Standards and Technology to come up with standardized tests to measure the performance and safety of AI models. Executive order also contains some provisions that will release AI to ethics crowd, will please the AI ethics crowd, a group of activists and researchers who worry about near-term harms of AI, such as bias and discrimination, who think that long-term fears of AI extinction are overblown. In particular, the order directs federal agencies to take steps to prevent AI algorithms from being used to exacerbate discrimination in housing, federal benefits programs, and the criminal justice system. Good luck with that. And it directs the Commerce Department to come with guidance for watermarking AI-generated content, which could help crack down the spread of AI-generated misinformation. And what do AI companies that target these rules think of them? Several executives I spoke to on Monday seemed relieved that the White House order stopped short of requiring them to register for a license in order to train large AI models, a proposed move that some in the industry had criticized as draconian. It also does not require them to pull any of their current productions off the market, force them to disclose their kinds of information they've been seeking to help keep private, such as the size of their models and the methods used to train them. So there's your AI executive order. It's a start. We'll see. It's going to be messy. I'm thinking about using it, but I'll figure out how later.
It's a mystery for now.
Well, yeah, I have an idea, but it's still the details. It's silly to go into it. Your story.
Okay, and some more kind of weird, odd news. We have the Barcelonan controversial new museum of forbidden art. This is from Graham Keeley on Euronews Culture. A crucified Ronald McDonald clown, prayer mats adorned with stilettos, and sketches by former Guantanamo prisoners that take pride of a place at a new museum in Spain devoted to previously censored art. Banksy, Francisco de Goya, and Pablo Picasso share a wall space in a new museum because they all have one unenviable thing in common. They face censorship of one kind or another. The Musée de l'Art Prohibit, Museum of Prohibited Art, which recently opened in Barcelona, is the world's only collection of works which have been banned by authorities somewhere in the world, even by the artists themselves. A painting of Donald Trump with a tiny penis, a woman licking a banana lavishly as a set of glamorous high heels on Muslim prayer mats, among these eclectic mix of art amassed over 5 years by Spanish journalist and businessman Tex O. Bennett. From works considered religious blasphemy to paintings or sketches touching on sexual taboos and political and social critiques, the art does not shy away from anything. Like this Always Franco by Eugenio Marino, showing the Spanish dictator inside of a fridge. That's it. Like a waxwork of him inside of a Coca-Cola fridge. What gives the exhibition an extra edge is next to every painting, a video or sketch there is a video or sketch explanation of each of the reaction at the time. This is often illustrated with the headlines from contemporary newspapers or quotes. Carles Gurera, the curator of the exhibition, which features 200 works, said the museum brings together censorship cases in which artists have been attacked, assaulted, or prosecuted. It's quite shocking to see the censorship is not so simple because of the very primitive ways of censorship in which art was denied a place to be more sophisticated, or a place for more specific. Okay, this is really hard to say. It is quite shocking to see that censorship is not so simple because of the very primitive ways of censorship, which art was denied a place to be more sophisticated ways in which it was attacked. That is all the words in that sentence, which doesn't line up very well, which is why my brain got confused. Censorship is constantly evolving, he told Euronews. At the same time, there's a constant reaction from the public who do not abide by this censorship and want to support the right to exist in a public space. Gurera said the exhibition attempted to give context by showing the reaction to controversial works. You see the work and you also see reactions. We decide every single work on display comes with a very in-depth research with newspaper cuttings and ideas which were offended by difficult things, be they religious, sexual, or political issues, he said. As the wars in the world rage, Gurera said he is not worried about any reactions to pieces in the exhibition which criticize the place of women within Islam or the presence of Palestinian artists. I think the thing is a lot of women aren't allowed in mosques, so this art piece of the mats with high heels on them is probably some sort of rebellion piece, being like, women belong here. I have no idea. It's a work by French Algerian artist Zulka Boudadela, consisting of 30 Muslim prayer mats, each adorned with a pair of sequined stilettos. This piece is also next to another section of an exhibition, a video by Palestinian artist Larissa Sansour. In 2011, the French Elise Art Prize was cancelled after a row with the French clothing label Lacoste, which withdrew its €24,000 sponsorship from the award. Sansour's work, Nation State, imagines a Palestinian state rising from the ashes of the peace process. Goya's sketches Los Caprichos mark an important moment in criticism as the Spanish master decided not to show them. Goya was the first to apply auto-criticism or self-censorship. His works were about Spanish society and its attitude to subjects like religion, Gurara said. He abandoned Spain and went to Bordeaux in France, where he died. He abandoned Spain! I think he just left Spain. He's not the father of Spain. He didn't abandon the country. He became the first great self-critic. We need to fix the moment when a critical spark is taking place in public sphere. In contrast, Picasso's explicit sexual drawings attracted criticism in 1968, when the Russian Orthodox Church asked for the posters advertising them to be removed from public places to protect children from such degeneracy. In another part of the show, there's a series of works by former prisoners of Guantanamo Bay, the notorious U.S. jail in Cuba it's a prison, in Cuba for suspects accused of taking part in the 1911 attacks. That's not what they're for, but sure. Political prisoners is what I call them. A lot of them were even probably born when the attacks happened, and political prisoners. One shows the State of Liberty singing. I'm sure the person who wrote this is just trying to be politically neutral or whatever. One shows the State of Liberty sinking into the water, while another's drawing shows an eye crying behind a bricked up wall. I think I've seen that one. That one's really famous. The artworks by the freed prisoners caused outrage when they went on a show in the United States in 2017, because the Americans realized they imprisoned people legally. Oh no, we're evil! Religion figures prominently, but it's not hard to see why they offended established religions. For instance, Con Flores a Maria by the Spanish artist Charo Corrales shows the image of the Virgin Mary. She has one hand between her legs and appears to be enjoying a more sexual than spiritual form of gratification. Andres Serrano, an American artist, made a red image of Jesus Christ on the cross, which was covered in the artist's own urine. The work, called Piss Christ, outraged the church at the time. Similarly, another image by Argentinian Leon Ferrari shows Christ crucified in the wings of a U.S. fighter plane, which sparked protests. Unsurprisingly, sex figures prominently. The late Polish artist Natalia LL made a series of videos showing semi-naked women licking bananas in a suggestive way. It was supposed to be a criticism of Western pornography during the communist era. When democracy returned, it was ironically banned. British photographer Terry O'Neill's photograph of Raquel Welch on the cross is one startling image. He took the image after the film star said she felt like she was being crucified by the media for a role in the 1966 film 1 Million Years BC, in which her leather bikini caused a stir. O'Neill said he had been too scared to publish his picture of Welch in his photo portfolio until 30 years later. It will come as no surprise, politics are largely in the exhibition, including a naked Donald Trump with a tiny penis, in the subject Make America Great Again by Ilma Gore. There's also a version of the Arbeit Macht Free sign, which greeted inmates of Auschwitz concentration camps, featured along the axes and other implements. When thieves stole the original in 2009, they tried to sell it for €150,000. Cuban Tania Bruguera made her version to reflect on the history and its rereadings. She has suffered from censorship in her own country. There's also Fabian Charla's famous Mexican revolutionary Emilio Zapata dressed in high heels and pink sombrero poked fun at the great man. It prompted demonstrations demanding it was closed down. Closer to home, an image of the late Spanish dictator Francisco Franco, dressed in military uniform but stuffed inside a Coca-Cola vending machine in Eugenio Marino's amusing take on the man whose shadow still looms over the country. The culture of consumerism comes under fire. Yoshiko Oko's video called Freedom Fries, Still Life, features a McDonald's restaurant in which there is an obese, naked person. Outside there is a person cleaning the windows. In 2014, London Tabernacle Gallery withdrew the work because the museum felt it was not suitable for the space. McJesus, a work by Finnish artist Johnny Leonen, which features a figure of Ronald McDonald, is seen crucified on a cross as if he were Jesus. But the difference is that Ronald is thinned down more like Christ. Again, it's provoked protest outside the Haifa Museum of Art in Israel in 2019. The artist later claimed he asked the museum to take it down, but this was not carried out. In 2016, the Chinese artist Ai Weiwei criticized Lego, which he claimed had censored his work. He used Lego brick to create portraits of 4 famous Italians who had been imprisoned or exiled for their beliefs: Dante Alighieri, Filippo Strozzi, Galileo Galilei, Girolamo Savonarola. But Lego refused to bulk order bricks because they said their products could not contain political statements. Banksy's take on police brutality features in a section which also shows a series of posters used by Amnesty International to publicize the plight of political prisoners. That's alliteration. The figure of the police officer with a gun and a smiley face is typical of the mystery artist. The exhibition has no closing date, which is a good thing because it merits a second or third look. That it's so good. That's my long article on all the banned artworks you can see in Barcelona's museum. So go to Barcelona now and check out all of the things you're not allowed to see, depending on religion or politics, I guess. And this day in history.
All right, taboo subjects. This day in history, in 996, Holy Roman Emperor Otto III granted the Bavarian bishopric of Friesing 30 royal hides, or about 8 square kilometers of land, in a deed that contained the first recorded use of the name Osterici, from which the name Austria is derived. Well, that was hard to read. In 1512, for the first time, the general public was able to view Michelangelo's fresco on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican Palace. The artwork is among the greatest achievements in Western painting. 1611, William Shakespeare's The Tempest was reportedly performed for the first time, his last play. 1755, Lisbon was heavily damaged by an earthquake that demolished more than 9,000 buildings and killed as many as 30,000 people. In 1765, the Stamp Act went into effect, making the first British parliamentary attempt to raise revenue through direct taxation of all American colonial and commercial legal papers. In 1871, American author Stephen Crane, whose works include The Red Badge of Courage, was born. In 1922, the Grand National Assembly, at the behest of Kemal Atatürk, voted to abolish the Sultanate of Turkey. Sultanate. New word for me. 1938, the horse race that captured the imagination of Americans during the Great Depression. In a horse race that captured the imagination of Americans during the Great Depression, Seabiscuit defeated War Admiral by 4 lengths. In 1950, Puerto Rican nationalists, members of the Armed Forces National Liberation, FLN, attempted to assassinate U.S. President Harry S. Truman. In 1967, the film classic Cool Hand Luke opened in American theaters and became especially known for Paul Newman's performance as one of his iconic anti-hero roles. What we've got here is failure to communicate. That's from Cool Hand Luke. 1981, Antigua and Barbuda achieved independence from the United Kingdom, with Veer Bird serving as its first prime minister. Veer Bird, B-E-R-E. Veer Bird. In 1993, the Maastricht Treaty entered into force, thereby establishing the European Union. Maybe you know how to pronounce that.
That's how
There you go.
Moss.
1994, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration launched its WIND spacecraft on its mission that would include a halo orbit between the Sun and Earth to explore space environment there. 1997, James Cameron's Titanic. The drama about the Titanic opened starring Leonardo DiCaprio and became one of the highest grossing films of all time. Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. 1999, American professional football player Walter Payton died of cancer. 2006, American novelist William Styron, known for his treatment of tragic themes of rich classical prose style highlighted in such works as Sophie's Choice, died at the age of 81. It was my stupid phone. And in our featured event, this day, the first thermonuclear bomb tested by the United States. On this day, in 1952, on the Atoll and Marshall Islands, Edward Teller and other American scientists tested the first thermonuclear bomb, its power resulting from an uncontrolled, self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction. And our featured biography is Sholem Asch, American writer, born November 1st, 1880 in no Russian Empire and died in London in 1957, but he's called an American writer. Got it. Born in Russia, died in London. American writer. Okay. What did he write? I don't know. But it is his birthday. Also, birthdays today. Aishwarya Baki Ray, Indian actress, was born in 1973. Toni Collette, Australian actress, born in 1972. Tim Cook, American business executive, who Trump called Tim Apple. 1960 was his birthday. 1957, American musician Lyle Lovett was born. And Edward Said, in 1935, American professor and literary critic. Edward Said was born in 1930. What he said a lot. Because he was a critic. All right.
Edward Said, but yes, thank you. I read at least 15 articles by him in my bachelor's degree.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. Edward Said. I stand corrected. National Vinegar Day today. It's also National Authors Day. We just read off some authors. National Family Literacy Day, which is a good day for authors also. National Cook for Your Pets Day. Well, spoil them pets. National Stress Awareness Day. I'm always aware of that. National Brush Day. National Deep Fried Clams Day.
Hey!
National Calzone Day. Are you hungry yet? National Cinnamon Day. Are you hungry yet? World Vegan Day.
What the hell?
Calm it down. World Vegan Day. So you can eat that cinnamon, but you can't eat that calzone unless it's vegan. And don't eat them clams, because it's National Vegan Day. You're really conflicted now. National Biologic Coordinates Day. Woohoo! Know your biological coordinates. It's Autistic Speaking Day also. It's also All Saints Day, Day of the Dead, Prime Meridian Day, and that is all the days. It had to be at least 40. All right, that's it. That's all I got.
Well, I have to say, that's one stacked day. I have a lot to do today, and it is my day off, so I guess I'm doing all that. I'm eating fried oysters, putting cinnamon on it. What else did there was like 20 things. That was the most stacked day we've had in a lot of
All
long
Saints
time.
Day.
Yeah, look, I can't.
Dead,
it's so stacked I can't speak.
Cinnamon Day.
I was too shocked to
Calzone
speak.
Day.
Okay, this has been Allison here from the Netherlands, who's celebrating how Orientalism is a real thing, and we need to fight against Orientalism. Thank you, Edward Said. We will see you tomorrow on Thursday for our Tragic Thursday, where we just talk about tragic things. That's not true. I'm making that up. I don't know why I keep saying that. And we'll see you then.
This is Roger, United States, saying so long for another Wednesday on the first day of November 1st, 2023 on Before Coffee. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons. and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.